the top after our first two matches. We now head over to Erangel, though, for match number 3 of the night. Of course, there will be one more to play after this before we conclude day number 1. What a start, though, for LG Divine. 31 points. And this is the thing, though. You know, you mentioned before that we're only 2 games in, but it's a 27-point gap to them and Fury. Like, Fury are once again playing catch-up. They're playing from behind. And I mentioned that in the pre-show, that that's something they didn't want to have to happen. But this season, well, it's too late because it's already happened in just 2 matches. And it could extend even further here because right now, I don't know who's going to stop LG Divine. They could run away with this. It felt like PCS 2, they were going to run away with it. At one point, it got up to like a 70 or 60-point gap. And then, of course, the comeback began. Maybe this time, they won't make the same mistake.
Well, luckily, it is a position that they are used to playing from, and they're generally able to make it work. Now, what is interesting immediately off the start, and I'm glad the observers have found out.
Hello.
It's the contest for Pochinki. Ferox and Magic are both contesting this town, and it is a town that you could theoretically say has enough buildings to allow 2 teams, but it is a fairly small town, so I'm quite interested to see whether this one is actually going to end up in a bloodbath or one team will concede.
Well, we are going to get a Sosnovka Island circle, although Fury actually going for their ult drop over towards Yasnaya rather than Sosnovka military base, so they might be just feeling a little tilted off that because typically they do loot down at military base, and they haven't really had the best of luck, I guess, in PCS Apac throughout the year with these sort of circles. They get it here, but they're not actually there. Of course, we'll keep an eye on the Magic Esports versus Ferox hot drop over in Pochinki, as you would kind of suspect they're probably just looting up right now. At some point, maybe one runs into another, but like you said, Jordan, they might just sort of back off at some point. They could both be playing, I guess, a game of chicken in a sense, and I guess sometimes these things happen. You know, you have your scrims, one team really wants Pochinki, the other one also really wants Pochinki, and there's maybe no clear winner. Well, then they just say, let's battle it out, I guess, in the main event, and that's what this main event is. The thing is, sometimes, though, one of the teams may not actually want to take the fight. They just want to loot up and then get out. Get the vehicle and then get out. But looking at this circle, I mean, Angel Alliance, I mentioned it before over on Miramar. Are they a Miramar-only team, or are they going to bring it on Erangel as well? This is really the perfect start to Erangel, more than anything that they could have had. As we look at the Pick'em challenge in terms of votes, I like this statistic. I like this little thing. I already know, I'm pretty sure number 1 is Unicorn Cyber.
Which is strange.
Apparently they've got a famous player on the team. I don't know. We haven't seen them participate. There they are. 83% of the votes. I'm going to say this right now for everyone watching. Do not vote Unicorn.
Yeah,
That's my one tip.
They're the only team that hasn't gotten a point so far in PCS 3. I mean, it is only 2 games in, but yeah, I think it does speak for itself. LG
Divine is a great second option.
That's a good pick. Yep, that's a good pick. And Fury, admittedly, one would have thought would have been a good pick, but
Buriram
so far hasn't really been their day. Buriram's not a bad one either. I'd probably be looking at LG Divine and probably Buriram if I had to put my 2 votes in right at this second.
But you wouldn't, and you don't have to. For those who maybe first time playing along for the Pick'em challenges, you can, of course, wait. I'm not sure how much. I think it's actually at the halfway mark. I could be wrong. But you can, of course, check all of that in-game, and it tells you when the voting ends. So you don't have to do your vote right away. You can see how everything sort of plays out. And typically, out of the 4 regions, usually there's one sort of runaway winner. I think this time that might actually be Sonics from North America, from what I saw a little bit of. Unfortunately, shoot to kill, not looking too flash over there, as LG Divine going to make the cross over the Milta Bridge, and they're actually going to get free through Crossroads. No one's sitting over here. Bay already in the Sosnovka military base. Day Trader over. Magic Esports are over. Unicorn making their way over the Lighthouse Bridge. In terms of teams who have got a large distance to traverse, Hydra Gaming and Fury, the 2 furthest teams.
You know what I do find interesting, and you sort of mentioned it even there, is that Fury, they're in Yasnaya, Polyana. Normally, we've been seeing them drop towards the military island. And they haven't been having all that much luck when it comes to the circle shifts on Erangel. It tends to go off of military island. They didn't. I think they went a whole season without it going down there once when they dropped there pretty much every game. This time they've gone up to Yaz, and now it's gone straight down to military. So maybe they're just cursed in that respect. Big rotation to make for them, as you do mention.
Is it
FTF as well?
No, sorry. I was almost talking to myself then. I forgot I was actually casting for a second. Purple magic rotating. These things happen, Jordan.
What is going on?
What?
Oh, jeez, that scared me.
He just wanted the dramatic style points. Buriram fine. They got a boat. They're all good. No issues. Don't worry, Jordan. Calm down. As Venotica spots a couple of cheeky boys in the middle of the ocean here. Triple X actually going to be eliminated. So Venotica on the board. That's going to be the first death of match number 3. Can Venotica find any more here? That 8 times being put to good use. Probably no more.
Oh, well, the attempt's going to be there, that's for sure. This is not fun for FTF. You know, look, it's always going to be tough rotating in on a boat, but when there's a team camping you on that rotate in as well, and they are not giving this one up. Urin's driving forward in that UAS, decides he wants to get himself another angle here. Big spray coming through from the barrel. I don't know how healthy that boat is at this point. Looks okay for now. But sooner or later, FTF is going to have to come in. It looks like, from what I can see on the map here, they're probably pretty safe now. There's no one sort of occupying the center of the military island toward the south down here by the dock. So they'll be able to get in there okay.
I was actually watching the North America stream, I think it was maybe this morning, and there's the discussion between Poro and Cami about what they wanted to call this new dock, as you mentioned. And I was thinking, what about Mini Novo?
That's not bad.
Yeah, because it doesn't actually have a name. It was obviously added with the new Erangel. Mip and Zuzu, my favorite name of 2020, is still being watched by Venotica. I'm not sure what the goal is here because Mip and Zuzu is not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think he's done so. That's Nandu, by the way. He did play on From the Future last season, if I remember correctly. I think he's just going to give his life up here.
Yep. He's going to sleep with the fishes. Oh, Algin bots. Could he get an early knock onto Levi's? That would be horrible for LG Divine. Levi's just trying to get as much information here in this little drive-by. Does, of course, have the reinforcements arriving. NMC pushing right onto Algin bots. The Angel Alliance, I think this is a one-player show at the moment. The other 3 you can see on the expanded minimap further north. And, well, I'll talk about a combination there from LG Divine. They're on the board early in match number 3.
Well, they're also in an interesting position, aren't they? It's fairly center in the circle, actually, where they are right now, but there's a lot of teams around them, and it's just one small building. So, won't be a bad one to lock down if the circle shifts on top of them, because there's a lot of open field sort of around that house. But if they have to move, sooner or later, they'll find themselves in a bit more of a problematic situation. Either way, speaking of problematic situations, I thought Fury might be in one with the rotation that they had to make from Yasnaya. But hey, they dealt with the bridge camp last season. They don't need to deal with it this season. So they've been given a bit of a reprieve. There's no one actually on the bridge. You can see they're quite wary of something potentially happening, though. And they scouted it initially. Waikikamukaus going first in the motorbike. A little bit tougher to hit, maybe, than the guys in the car. He's a bit quicker. But Fury will get across okay. There is no one camping the bridge, so don't worry about that. You'll see that there on the map as well. This one has to go south, and it does. Ferox, Hydra Gaming, Victim Rise, Division X Gaming. The 4 teams that haven't made it over to the island just yet, and the 4 teams that are probably going to find it quite difficult to actually make it onto the island now.
I mean, there's still a lot of space. You're going to have the teams on the sort of more western portion of this new circle for Phase 2. They're going to obviously shift inward, so that's going to open things up a bit for the likes of Day Trade, Division X, as they come from Primorsk. Obviously, they're not going to have the best positions. They're going to have to play from edge, clear along as they get in towards Phases 3 and 4. But I think for the most part, I would be surprised if we don't have every team in this sort of circle. I think you're going to see the likes of Cerberus just shift a little bit. Bay are fine. You can already see how that western sort of portion of this circle has already cleared up. So Day Trade making their way in. South side, just north above that little mini Novo section of the docks, as Haisaki says hello to Umama Although Sulaby is going to get the refrag immediately, and that's really detrimental for Cerberus. That's their best player. That's their star man, eliminated inside of 10 minutes here for match 3. We were just singing his praises in the pre-show.
Well, I mean, I got to say for Cerberus, their run so far in PCS 3 is very much mirroring their results in PCS Charity Showdown into PCS 2 to PCS 3. They had a rough start, a decent game, and then another sort of rougher start here. And that's sort of what we saw from them just in terms of their results overall in these seasons. They've had 2 sort of awkward seasons and 1 pretty good one. So they do seem to be, to me, a fairly inconsistent team. I will say that much. And it's kind of like go big or go home for Cerberus. And hopefully for them, this isn't going to be a case of go home. FTF, though, might be going home. They've run into LG Divine. They've actually managed to pick themselves a couple of kills up there, but they have also lost a couple of players as well. It's just 1 remaining player, Gypsy Danger, driving straight through the middle of the military base. And where can you possibly pull up that's going to be safe at this point? Very, very late in the game. Looks like he has managed to at least find somewhere for now.
I mean, at this point, the teams that are injured and wounded are going to just send it further inward to the military base, and that's just going to at least buy them some time. LG Divine down to just 2. It's John and Levi's. MC and Nikki both eliminated, so I don't sense they're going to have 3 chicken dinners in a row. And it does spell good news, I guess, basically for everyone else in the lobby, for the other 15 teams, that LG Divine aren't necessarily going to run away with it after 3 matches. They're not going to have some extraordinary lead. They can still get a few more points, considering their position and then the circle and obviously how it all shifts here on out for match number 3, but they're not going to have another big 15-point game like they've had for matches 1 and matches 2. Ferox are going to get a boat. Very fortunate that they've got this boat. I'm actually a bit surprised that there was still 1 left over.
Yeah. Blue right at their back. So, as you say, quite lucky. Swinging it around. Drift King. Who's in the driver's seat there? Didn't quite catch
Probably
it.
Sweet Soul. Surely. I can just imagine him driving that with that beard.
Yeah. The beard's holding onto the steering wheel.
It is Sweet Soul. I was right.
Yeah. All right. Well, they managed to make it across their Ferox. So that's a start. But still quite a long run for them. And a fairly long run for Hydra Gaming, who incidentally are actually driving across the bridge.
Look at this circle again, Jordan, though. This is going to be another circle where it's going to shift the people inside the circle. Not so much the injured teams. I don't think you'll see like LG Divine try and make too much movement. Angel Alliance are down to 3, but even they can start to shift. Division X Gaming have kind of been gifted away potentially to get to a decent spot if they make the early push. The likes of Daytrade, Sharper Esports, what did they do? Because all of a sudden, they are the meat in what's going to eventually be a sandwich. And if they hold around those down planes or at the bunker, it might not bode well, even if it does get them to the late game. I don't think they'll find kills. Hydra Gaming already rotating out to the very far west. They're going to then go down south in between Angel Alliance and Division X Gaming. And then the same will probably happen out here to the east. Purple Mood, Fury, and Buriram will do the same, but from the opposite direction. So the teams in military base, the ones that are injured, will stay put. There's so much real estate down to the very south portion of the circle, but the problem is if you do go down there, it's very, very open as God Meow's going to take out Boss Sense. Nordra's there to also capitalize, and Buriram are on the board.
Yeah, that is not where you want to nosedive straight into the ground in Yardasia. Unfortunate for him. Fortunate, though, for Buriram, who have that point on the board and have also now spotted out Ronan, at least from Fury. They might have had an idea that Fury was hanging around a little earlier on in the piece as well. They were fairly close by for a little while there. Purple Mood. Well, they get in with 3 alive, so could be worse. We turn our attention back over to Angel Alliance, one of the positive surprises from this evening so far. Didn't really know what to expect from them, a newer looking roster coming from the Philippines. And they've done pretty well so far.
Oh, they've done amazing, Jordan. They've done amazing. The question is, of course, coming in now to Erangel, can they keep it up? Right now, it's a bit of a shaky start here on Erangel. Plenty of time to turn things around. Still got 3 players up. Victim Rise, though, they can't turn around. They're in the blue. I don't think Ferox are going to do much better either. Sweet Soul's down. Rain's going to follow. Monty's dead before he even realized. And they're down to just Bryn, and unfortunately for Ferox, so far their run here on PCS3 Apac has been quite dismal. These first 3 games, they've got a lot to work on. They'll be able to watch the VODs, of course, after tonight, but improvements need to be made starting tomorrow night. And I guess the next game too.
And the next game, yep, that's true. Well, let's see where this circle shifts, because that'll tell us a lot. If it goes over the military base, we might see a very similar end to what we got there on Miramar in Game 2. Code is on the screen for those of you who are interested in that, and it's a bit of a 50-50.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sharp.
It's not really a 50-50, is it, though? Because really the north side's where you got all of the cover. The south side's just open field. You know, I was going on a bit of a tangent before, mainly because there was 3 different sets of compounds. So if it did go south, a little bit more south, obviously the water, though, makes that pretty much impossible. So only Division X and Buriram kind of went to those positions because they had no other option. Now it's going to be intriguing to see what they do from here. Hydro Gaming, their position, I mean, if they hold that spot, they might be all right for a long while, except for having to deal with, of course, Division X Gaming. Insight going to get revived here by Ronan. It's a big game for Fury here. They need all players up. They're outside of the circle. They've got a lot of work to do, and they don't really have much time either.
That's true. Driving right in the direction of the remaining Purple Mood players is Waikika Mukau. Making that early rotation in is going to pull up on top of them. This is a situation we see fairly often when it comes to military base finishes. One team in the bunker, one team on top of the bunker. Plenty of real estate for everyone. Everyone's happy. Unless, of course, your upstairs neighbor is walking around with high heels on, similar to mine, on a fairly regular basis. But that's okay. We'll leave that one by the wayside. Magic have made it into the military base, playing around the silos. I've never been a huge fan of this position. It always just feels like there's so many angles you can get shot from, and nowhere is really safe.
It's a temporary position that you can kind of just do your little circle around and move and try and find some information. Keep going, keep getting on the move, and then make your way over to the ATC, I guess. The intriguing thing right now, from what I can see on my map screen, is the 2-2 split that Sharper Esports have got. They're occupying 2 of the bunkers here in the military. Now, that is extremely aggressive based on this current circle. You would anticipate that at some point, I don't know who, I don't know when, a team is going to want to crash into one of those bunkers. Now, of course, whichever one does get crashed, they are going to get some assistance from the other bunker, but it's still, they're so far away. They're going to have to hit some tough shots. I'm a little surprised that they don't have all 4 together, but I would be even more surprised if they don't group up Phase 5. So they might hold it for now, then Phase 5 group up potentially, or they just, I guess, maybe can't group up. I would imagine they should have vehicles inside of the bunkers. If you look at Buriram United, they're not inside of the circle yet. Really, I think the only thing they can play off is the terrain and potentially the fence line that obviously encapsulates military base.
On the topic of Sharp, I think it's a pretty hard call to make, right? Because there is a very real possibility that if you send all 4 players into the same bunker, you just get camped and you can't get out if you do have to move. So I think it's almost too much of a risk even to have all 4 in the same, unless it's very, very late game where you probably know you don't have to move. But in this kind of a situation, you're still not sure exactly where the circle's going to shift. I think this is the correct decision from Sharp at the moment. Having a look at Bay, team that you sort of mentioned earlier, keeping an eye on teams rotating in, if there were any. Not too many, though. They are the last sort of team coming in from the northern side of the map. Here comes the next circle shift, though, and this is the one
south
that will tell us where it's going to get interesting. If it goes south, that's going to be a really disgusting circle for the most of these teams.
I think either way it's going to be disgusting, and it is. Yeah. I was going to say, if it had gone north, right, you're going to almost have a similar finish to what we had for match number 2 with Monte Nuevo. You're going to have these buildings, you're going to have a lot of smoke, you're going to have a lot of teams crashing, sending into buildings. This does really get the best of both worlds, right? You've still got that fence line. There's still a little bit of space inside a military base. Not much, but it is going to cause, of course, teams to all want to send it. There goes the push into the bunker. Nefahor literally just throws his life away by going so far deep in. Jukesy gets out too early. He ends up going down because he got out too early from the Dacia. And it's only Lokis and Sophia that remain for Battle Arena Elites. Fury involved as well. I think on top, potentially.
Yep.
Or behind it.
They're on top and
technically on
behind.
top. Yeah.
They tried to go early, which, you know, isn't always necessarily a bad strategy. But the fact that Buriram is still up on that hill above them means that there are some pretty disgusting angles that can fire down on top of Fury. It's not just Fury that's copping the bullet, though. Angel Alliance have run into Division X Gaming, and that hasn't gone too well for them. Lots of teams going to run into a very, very similar kind of position here because they all have to come out of the military base. There's like 2 or 3 teams that can gatekeep them, but everyone else has to move. It should be a feeding frenzy for the likes of Buriram.
Feeding frenzy for basically anyone that's not getting breached right now. Magic Esports and LG Divine over the ATC doing battle. As we can see, Fury just healing up there. Levi's on top here. Oh, he just spotted one at the last second. Didn't want to re-peek it, though, in fear that he had been found out as well. He hadn't, and he did get Valix. There goes Flood, and that's another bad game for Fury coming up in the books. And there has been some kills found for LG Divine. I think 3, in fact. They started on 31. They did have actually 1 kill before they lost their 2 players. So doing all right so far, the little duo there in the military base, but they do have to get moving. 50 seconds until phase number 6. Basil, Subang, both knocked, and they're both going to be finished off. Daytrade doing very well to hold on here. Noran's just maneuvering around, along with Flash still alive. Loki's and Sophia for Battle Arena Elites looking to just get to this fence line. Loki's is, and to try and avoid the fire from Buriram, who are loving this circle right now. They've got that high ground looking right into the military base, and Sharper are on the move, who have still got all 4 players alive.
It's the beauty of the 2-2 split. They've made it work, and now that they're later into the game, they can rotate, consolidate their position in that bunker. It might still not work out too kindly for them. It's highly likely that they won't be inside of the next circle shift, but to get to this stage of the game, they're one of the only teams that has all 4 players alive, and they're definitely the only team to get out of the military base with all 4 alive.
Fury.
So
Look at Fury.
that gives them something, and Fury also gets something with the circle shift coming through there. So it's not the end of the world just yet for Fury. It's not going to be a big game from them, but they might still get some points on the board.
Oh, Solozzi, who's been very good for Cerberus, just gets a nice little cheeky knock onto Flash, but that's all it'll be. Down to the final 8 teams, so placement points on offer here for match 3 of day number 1. We saw that again, Southern shift and away from even more cover. And teams like Sharp Esports, all 4 of them are going to have to come out of that bunker now. Sophia has to hold at that fence line for just a little bit longer, and then has to get moving across that very open road. Buriram are probably going to be the recipients, you would think, of these teams coming out of the military base. They got that higher ground. They can obviously get those vantage points, and I think even quite safely as well. I don't think Division X Gaming can really see too much of them, or even Hydra Gaming for that matter. Look at this little 1-1 split on either side of the road here for Waika Gamukau and Ronan of Fury. They're going to have their hands full very, very soon. Not just yet. There's still 1 minute and 40 seconds, and they're right on the edge of that circle. So there's another minute or so of sitting and waiting for those two. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 players north of them. Noran's on the move early on, and Cal will happily take that kill, looking to get some redeemed points here in match number 3. Some delayed points that they couldn't quite acquire over on Miramar. Daytrade Gaming will be eliminated in 8th position, but Sharper make it over.
Oh, this grenade could be huge from Nordra. Has it gone deep enough? It looks good. Ooh. Lands on top of all of them, but just some splash damage, not a knock. Man, if that would have been a 3-man grenade kill, it would have been insane, but not the case. Still, Buriram, as you can tell, very aware of the position of this team. Sophia is as well. He's going to nab himself a free. That's pretty good considering the situation he's in. He'll go out in 6th place, Battle Arena Elites, but to be honest, not a terrible start to their campaign on Erangel. It's turned around a little bit for Bay. Certainly seems to have turned around a little bit for Fury as well on this map. But Buriram continuing to put in good work. Sharper also continuing to put in good work. So those are the 2 power players in this game. They're both of the teams that have 4 or 3 players alive, and they're looking to extend the lead that they have over the majority. Here's another grenade getting thrown in by Nordra. I think that was just a flash this time. Still got 1 grenade, but
and they know exactly where they're at. But I think that first nade didn't give them enough information, and since then has been a little bit more hesitant in continuing to throw even more, especially when you're low on utility. Fury are going to win.
Fury's going to win, you reckon?
Yep. Look at that circle shift. That is disgusting. They do not have to move from these little guard posts.
No one is beating Buriram right now. They are on 9 kills. They've got 4
don't
players
know.
alive. They've already got the knock onto Hydra Gaming. That's Mickey down on the floor. I think it's just 1 player left for Hydra Gaming. Division X only have a couple. Fury have come out of their compound. I mean, this is where it actually does fall apart for Buriram. If all of these other remaining teams turn their attention up the hill and watch Buriram as they rotate down, it can fall apart. But if they're given the opportunity to take 4-on-2s, 4-on-1s, they'll just trade out and get down the hill okay.
Oh, this could be the entry point though for Waikiki to just get an easy kill because Nordra spinning or sliding, I guess, more than anything. Was going very, very slow there towards the end. 5 kills for Waikiki who was just woken up and has found some energy. 9 kills for Buriram. It's been a great game, but you probably would have suspected they would be able to go on and, I guess, get the chicken dinner from the position that they had. But now, down to 3 players. One of them I can't even see. Kanaxi actually went fishing and got a crate and is now making his way back. Very risky, but will be successful in that retrieval of the crate. And the goodies that were there, IQ 500 and Neil still alive for Division X Gaming. One of the better games that we've seen from them as well. They had it a little bit rough at times on Miramar, a bit inconsistent. And Hydra Gaming doing well too, center of this circle. But right now, it's a 2 versus 2 versus 2 versus 3. It's anyone's game from here if they play it perfectly.
I don't mind the position that Fury is in at the moment. Like you said, I mean, you kind of call them to win. I don't know if I'll go so far. It's still anyone's game at this point, but they are a team that has more hard cover than the rest. Kanaxi perhaps has a rude awakening here for him. IQ 500 would like to maybe creep up on him or just chuck a grenade in that direction. Doesn't cook it for too long, so Kanaxi would have had time to move if he needed it. Didn't go quite deep enough.
Oh, man. That nade might be the one, actually. Nope. Just falls short as well. I think he actually looked a bit closer than he actually was, to be honest. That Molotov's not going to do too much. And actually, no more nades. They still have 5 smoke grenades remaining. I think if Buriram can deal with Division X cleanly here, I think they potentially take back the favorite. So that nade is just skipped. What? The bounce? I don't know what just happened there with that nade. There's a 1-for-1 trade between Hydra Gaming and Fury. Cow is knocked. Ronan has 4 nades. Make it 3 now after letting that one rip. Mickey just sitting at this Dacia. Obviously, the retrieval and the survival of Waikiki is imperative. If they are going to win this game, Ronan needs to get this revive onto Cow. And it looks as if that's now going to be his #1 aim, and that's his #1 goal. And he might just be successful here because there's no one really pushing onto their location.
Yeah, in fact, actually, Buriram have rotated down to the south. All 3 of the players I can see there on the minimap. And so they'll be getting into an engagement with Division X Gaming and Hydra Gaming, far more likely than they are to get into a fight with Fury, who right now have been largely ignored up toward the northern side of the map. If they just stay chill here, don't get involved in the fight, perhaps the other teams will finish each other off, and Ronan and Waikiki can sneak in with a victory for themselves. We've seen Fury struggle to get wins on the board in PCS2.
Yeah.
And here's another opportunity for them, so let's see if they can convert. Again, I'd probably still put my lot in with Buriram at this point, given they have the numbers advantage, but they are in a pretty difficult crossfire. I guess it remains to be seen where this next circle is going to go, because everyone is quite keen on just chilling, sitting where they are, not moving, not doing anything.
Well, it's phase 9. It's probably just going to go a little send up. I don't think it's going to do any... Yeah, there's nothing else it's going to do, so...
Right.
I think that phase 8 went really quick. I think we were both ready for like the phase 8 shift, and we were actually like, oh, hang on, it's actually phase 9.
Yep.
And the dramatic music makes its entrance.
You love it. You love to hear it.
You love to hear it, but I'm not sure much is really going to happen here for about maybe another minute or so.
Well, I hear this is actually the Xenox personal playlist music that we've got. So thank you very much to Caster Xenox for providing the music today.
Kanaxi does spot IQ 500 in the grass. He landed that initial headshot and was successful with a follow-up spray. And now the push comes from Fury as well from the other side. And in the end, Division X Gaming do get pinched. 3 versus 1 versus 2. Fury with the 2. Hydra Gaming's Mickey still alive. But as you keep sort of pointing out, Jordan, it's Buriram who have the numbers, and now they have the 3 versus 2. Can Fury find their first win since probably PCS 1? I don't think so now, because Edie gets the knock onto Waikiki Mukau. Be like Ronan and maybe find a 1 versus 3. But look at the position. You can see he's got no cover at all. Does spray into the smoke. Almost gets it now. Does get it, but he can't get the second one. The refrag comes out. Buriram United Esports are on the board with a chicken dinner for PCS3 Apac, as they are looking quite strong and now take top spot.
That is pretty good from Buriram. If I remember correctly, it was actually Ronan that won a 1v1 against Nordra in PCS1 to give Buriram a second place finish in round number 13. So there's a little bit of revenge from Buriram. They win the 3v2 this time against Waikiki Mukau and Ronan. I will say, I don't see Buriram being the kind of team to throw away a 2v3. Once they do get rid of that remaining Hydra Gaming player, that's sort of the X factor out of the picture there, and it